Hello, Hypno Junkies. Welcome back to more Chaos Head Noah. Way more Chaos Head Noah. I say way more because this is the third episode I've recorded today, of possibly 4. I just have a day off where I want to try to get a bunch of these things done. I mean, I'm also recording because I want to see what the hell is going on. Questions are really mounting without answers. Hazuki, even, the nurse, has started to become under scrutiny for what she's been doing, chanting about the Church of Divine Light, and drawing pictures that, why would she have them? Why does she have pictures of the crappy-ass scribble Grimm sent us of the crucifixion? What's happened to Ayase? She's just vanished. What is the relevance of the drawing that we've got on the back of our essay that we found that Shogun sent us the formula for way back in episode 1? What is with this black room, which is supposedly some mysterious hidden room that Ami-chan is maybe being taken care of in, possibly? Who's flapping a towel under Ayase's room? Where the hell did Remy run off to? There's so much going on right now. Last episode was just a train with no brakes. And I expect that to continue, but let's see when we finally start getting some answers. Things are coming to a head. They feel like they're coming to a head. I'm pretty sure we're in the second last chapter of the game. My guess is we're going to be headed toward a relatively neutral and somewhat unsatisfactory conclusion for our first ending, and then we'll go back and start getting individual endings. But we also got a little information on Yua. Apparently her twin sister was involved in the group dive. I think that came out last episode or the episode before. That's interesting. I can't remember what happened last episode or the episode before. They're bleeding into each other because I kind of did them back to back. So let's just continue my confusion and see what's next. Evening fell on the rooftop of an old building in Shinzen, the building atop which Nishu Takami's container's house stood, still as death. And now that I'm back here, I feel like we're not Takami. We're talking about him in the third person. Who are we? Maybe we didn't take off. Maybe we're still at the hospital and this is someone else. Oh! Okay. It was Aoi Senna's second time visiting it. When was the first? Pray tell? Aoi Senna should never have been here. I can't think of a time when she was here. Which is to say, I can't think of a time that she was here when we were here. Which means she was here when we were not here. Why was she here when we were not here, and what did she do? The first time... Oh, here we go. The first time had been a few days prior. Following her encounter with Kozue and Takumi in Center Gai, she had gone on to tail the boy in secret. Through this, the location was set in stone in her mind. Okay, so the first time was just after the last time we saw her, and she just sort of shadowed us. Fair. Senna-san! Kazubi doesn't think Kazubi and Senna-san should be doing this. Kazubi hates thievery stuff from you. Why did you come with me, then? Senna regarded Kozue in a cold manner, refusing to even turn around to view her sagging shoulders nor her long face. Senna had come here to infiltrate Takami's room. Why? Nishiju Takami is not normal. I mean, fair, but that was the conclusion she had come to after speaking to him many times. There was no doubt in her mind that he was distinctly different to normal gigglomaniacs like Kozue and herself. Did he possess delusional abilities so abnormal it proved terrifying? Or could he perhaps be receiving some sort of artificial support? Might be a little from column A, a little from column B. Regardless of which it might be, the uncertain nature of Takami greatly bothered Senna. As of the current moment, she was searching for a man known as Hatano. So this is the name that she said in the park when she attacked that first rucksack guy. Where is Hatano, or who is Hatano, or something like that. But we know nothing else. He was only mentioned once, and this is the second time that name is coming up. So the question is, who is this man, and why are we searching for Hatano? There was a very real possibility that Nishiju Takami had some kind of connection to him. Really. She had no conclusive evidence of this. But through investigating even the most lightly suspicious things with her own eyes, the possibilities would be torn down one by one. And with such methodology, she would find her target with absolute certainty. That was Senna's creed. The door had a padlock attached to it. With a slight scoff, she swung down her D-sword that she had preemptively reel-booted. The padlock was effortlessly smashed to pieces. Well, we're going to notice that. Won't Takumi-san get real mad when he gets back? Senna had already confirmed that Takumi had been heading from school toward the station with 2 of his friends. However, even if he were to find out, it would make no difference to her. When it came to attaining her goal, Senna had no qualms with others coming to detest her, or even being reported to the police. Yeah, Senna just gives no fucks. Boy, wait till you guys see the eroge and the figures. She opened the door and stepped into the room. Senna could only grimace at the disastrous cesspool of a room. The endless piles of trash forced a groan from her mouth. Yucky! Why does it sound like you're enjoying this, Kazue? Senna-shan! Do you think Kazupi and Senna-shan should take their shoes off? Well, these girls are just here. They just broke in. With a sigh, Senna ventured deeper into the room, shoes still adorning her feet. Oh, there's so many dollies! Hoopy! Takumi-san really is a pervert! Wow! Paying no heed to Kazuo, who seemed oddly impressed, Senna stood before the PC. What is Senna's story going to be? We've learned that all of the people with the swords kind of have some mental health issues, or have been broken in some way mentally, some more than others. Senna seems rather competent and together with it, and I'm not really sure what we're going to find in her past that has led her to this point. She turned the power on without hesitation and scoured the desk with her eyes as she waited. Huh? Furrowing her brow, she picked up a sheet of paper that had been left on the desk. An essay. Yeah, remember how Kazumi was like, I wonder who the boy was who birthed the phrase, whose eyes are those eyes? Well, guess what Takumi wrote in class 4-3? It's whose eyes are those eyes? Kazuo had peeked at the essay from behind Senna's back, and she was now jumping up and down in excitement. So Takumi-san really was the whose eyes are those eyes guy after all. Kazupi was right. She really was. Yeah. In vast contrast to Kazuo, Senna skimmed the essay with disinterest and then casually flipped it over. Oh, this will be of interest. The very next instant, her eyes widened in shock. This can't be. Something was drawn there. It was... Yeah. You may take some interest in that. Oopie! Look at all those people. Is that a wobot? It says IR2 right there. It does say IR2. That's the name of the chapter. Senna's going to be interested in that equation. Senna-san? The sound of gritting teeth escaped from Senna's lips. I need a popsicle now. Her expression was far more grim than usual, and the hand holding the essay trembled with anger. Ooh. So that's it. Oh, I think there might be a misunderstanding here. I need you to take a step back, take a breath, think about this for a minute. Nishijo is the one responsible for IR2. The fuck is IR2? Her voice forcefully stifled. Stifled? She crushed the sheet of paper in her fist. Well, we'll notice that too. We are responsible for IR2? Okay, so we ran out of the nurse's station and just went down the stairs. We bolted and looked for a place to get a breather. I left the nurse's station and stumbled around the hospital, my mind buried in fog. I was doing everything in my power to avoid thinking about what I'd just seen. Before I knew it, I'd found myself standing at the landing of the staircase with Mizumi-kun gazing outside by the window. Oh, we found him? What the hell happened to you? You're covered in sweat, dude. And you're looking pretty pale, too. Then again, pale's pretty much your permanent skin tone anyway. Oh god, don't tell me. Were you running while looking for her? No wonder you're worn out. It ain't worth killing yourself over, dude. I wiped my sweat away and tried desperately to feign composure. Oh! I found Rimi and Kishimoto! Well, that's good. Despite what he'd said, I couldn't see either of them. Then for some odd reason he pointed outside the window. What? Over there! Once I caught my breath, I approached the window. I could see the outpatient ward from it. The outpatient and hospital wards were separate buildings, accessible through a corridor connecting them. They weren't all that far apart, though. The hospital ward had many floors, and the landing I was on looked slightly down on the roof of the outpatient ward. On that roof, shrubbery sporting red flowers formed a makeshift garden, and it seemed to be a place where patients went to relax. In the center of the garden, I could see Rimi and Ayase. Ayase was wearing pajamas, and she was discussing something with Rimi. Okay. Those two shouldn't know each other, right? Yeah, we speculated that they might, but it's still just really, really speculation as to how. Not sure why, but it sure looks like they're discussing something real serious down there, right? Yeah. It almost looked like they were glaring at each other. Suddenly, Ayase... Whoa! We heard that from here. Damn. Suddenly, Ayase closed in on Rimi and slapped her right across the cheek. What? Why? How? Even from where I was standing, I could tell that she hadn't held back one bit. Rimi, what are you doing? Ayase then walked away from Rimi. She was headed in the direction of the passageway, so she was probably going back to her hotel room. Rimi is interfering in some way, and it's got something to do with her Shogun connection, but we're still not sure of the hows or whys. Yeah, Mizumi's just like, the hell? My man, was that a bitch slap? I nodded, even after he being left behind. Rimi didn't move an inch, she simply stood there. What exactly constitutes a bitch slap, and how is it any different from a normal slap? Is there some kind of drama going on between them? If there was, I knew nothing about it. Well, time for a conversation. I readily went along with Mizumi-kun's proposal to pretend like we'd never seen what we'd seen. We then decided to leave Rimi to her own devices and return to Ayase's room. Is her sword still there? She should really be taking that with her. The state of my body had mostly recovered by now, and God's gaze had vanished. It was to the point where it felt like that horrible sickness I'd been feeling had never even been there in the first place. It does seem to come and go with the delusions, though, but they've been coming hot and fresh, so what's the next one? Mizumi-kun let out a sound from in front of me. I have a feeling we're about to find out. I looked up in response, only to see Ayase walking over to us. Her head hung slightly limp, and her gaze pointed downward. Her steps were slow and lacking any energy. Her face was very pale, and her expression was, to no surprise, intensely somber. We had somehow managed to bump into Ayase right in front of her hospital room.
Yo, Kishimoto-san.
Yo, Kishimoto-san! Well, is that her? No, she does look a little bit more indifferent, sadder, I guess, than usual. That's not her general expression, I don't think. She's also got a bit of a frown. Mizumi-kun gave the most eloquent greeting possible from him, and from the voice Psy'Min is giving him, to which Ayase raised her head in surprise. Oh, that was an interesting pose. She looked at me, and then, despite seeming like she was on the brink of tears, she smiled at me, and vanished from view. Completely. Why had she done that? Where is she? She's invisible. Has she heard about the uproar that had happened in front of O-Front? About all the shameful things I'd done, or was she just being friendly? The former would be beyond depressing. Hey, we thought you might be lonely, so we decided to pay you a visit. Though I gotta say, you're looking real cute in those pajamas, Kishimoto-san. His passive, pickup artist, had activated at barely any time at all. That's his passive trait, is it? Talk about rushing the objective. That needs to be a passive trait in an MMO. Come in. Although Ayase had treated Mizumi-kun pretty coldly before, she didn't do that this time. Instead, Ayase opened her door and invited us in. She didn't show a single hint of having slapped Rimi just a few minutes ago. We'll need an explanation about that at some point. Was she hiding it well, or had she just already gotten over it in such a short time? As per usual, I had no idea what Ayase was thinking.
Taku, looks like coming to visit was the right choice after all. We hit the jackpot today.
Mizumi-kun gave a small fist pump while Ayase wasn't looking, then excitedly entered the room. I reluctantly followed after him. In all honesty, I wanted to head home with Ribby ASAP. But I didn't have the courage to say anything to her. Yeah, but we're here for some answers, though, right? We want to talk to Ayase. I didn't know the reason why, but being so fiercely slapped like that must have made her pretty depressed, and I knew I didn't have the words to encourage her. Such a good friend. My friend was assaulted. Well, better say nothing and leave her alone. Just ignore that. Ayase sat down on the bed, and Mizumi-kun very casually sat beside her. Talk about daring. I couldn't help but be taken aback by Mizumi-kun's mode of attack. Ayase gave Mizumi-kun a single glance before fixing her gaze on me. Being stared at so blatantly put me at a loss for how exactly I was supposed to respond. I didn't know what kind of expression to make, so I just ended up looking down at the floor.
How are your injuries? You look like you're all about ready to walk out of here. If you need anything at all, don't hesitate to ask. My wallet is yours to command, milady.
He focused intently on Ayase's hand. If I had to guess, he was scheming on how best to grab it. That refined, slender hand. Sounds like you're scheming too. Should I just go? I'm third-wheeling here.
By the way, are you much of a reader? Me personally, I'm a big fan of the Gladiol books of Psalms and Revelation. I don't know why I mentioned that. It's just something that I've been reading lately and I'm really into, and I don't know why you'd have thought of it, but I figured I'd just name drop it. You heard of it too, Kishimoto-san? We definitely haven't been in your room already. Talk to me. Leaving Mizumi-kun's question unanswered, Ayase called my name. You are one of the 7 knights of Gladiol. Like, well, wait, what? Huh? What? Right into the shitso shit, huh? Even the mayhem surrounding her attempted suicide hadn't been enough to change her at her core. I mean, I think she's onto something here, my guy. Us meeting. The event must have been brought forth by guidance after all. Quietly, dispassionately, Ayase narrated about what I could only call a total chuuni storyline. In other words, what we've come to expect. Your wicked heart is immensely powerful. You've gained so much power from reading too much eroge. That is why. It goes without saying. You have the makings of a black knight. Manifestly so. But I need my sword. The suffering you are experiencing right now is divine punishment from above. A trial of the greater will. And now Mizumi is third-wheeling. When you overcome it, your D-sword shall be summoned. It will become yours, of this I am certain. No, I know where it is. It's off the top of a building. I just don't have any desire to go over there and get it anymore. And then it shall appear. A dark, colossal serpent of wicked hearts. A being capable of devouring all corrosion, shattering the wicked-hearted king's body itself, instilling heterogeneity in his homogeneity. I really hope I'm saying that right. They are real. Gladiol and the D-swords. We know the D-swords are real. There's one sitting over there. I'd like to borrow it. The Kamaitachi are proof of this. What are those? Tell me more. Non-existent phenomena have never had their names engraved in history. Do you know of the etymology? Kamaitachi, the bearing of a sword. Thus, our D-swords. Mitsumi is just like, the hell is going on here? I'm sorry, I don't stick my dick in crazy. I'm gonna go now. Trust in me, Takumi. We shall defeat Gladiol together. Yeah, I have a feeling this is going to turn into some sort of shoujo battle manga type
deal eventually at some point, and by eventually I mean soon, because we're probably near the end of the game, but we're building up to something. It's been a slow boil, but I feel like there's going to be a big battle. It's going to be over, and it's going to be like, okay, that was interesting. Also, it's delusion time. Gladiole. I remembered that name. You remember where it's from now? I'd seen that term back when I'd first been researching D-swords. It had seemed that D-sword was a term used in literature and pseudepigrapha relating to the legend of Gladiole, or more specifically a sword in it. I wasn't really sure, though. Yeah, it was a little thick to read. As I continued to think, Mizumi-kun quietly got up and started to walk toward me. Yo, bitch be cray. He went to go right past me, but just before he did, he put his hand on my shoulder. I can't keep up with this anymore. Rest up to you, dude. I'm out. With a sigh of exasperation, he left the hospital room. Leaving me alone like this wasn't fair. No, we wanted this. We wanted this. Ayase hadn't shown even a hint of interest in Mizumi-kun leading. No, we need to talk a bit. We need more hints. Less cryptic the better, please. It was almost like she was pretending he had never even been there in the first place. She was always like this, always so detached from everything. It felt like I was looking at someone fundamentally different from normal people. You are. You created it, did you not? Oh, the flower bed? Yeah, let's talk about this. The flower bed back then. I did. You're welcome, by the way. That is how I realized that you have already awakened. I'm not a gigalomaniac. How do you know that word? Huh? How do you know? How do you know? Oh, okay. She's not familiar with the terms that Senna is. Maybe her and Senna probably don't know each other. Gigalo what? Gigalomaniac? Oh, I heard the name from Aoi Senna. Aoi Senna. Her... I see. I have met her only once. She too is a Black Knight of Gladiole. Black Knights of Gladiole and Gigalomaniacs. Did they mean the same thing? Either way, I can't do it. I couldn't even get a D-sword. You must overcome the divine punishment done unto you. Then and only then shall the sword be summoned. Is that what Shogun has been trying to facilitate? Overcoming divine punishment. Because he's been clearly interfering with us. Divine punishment? Suffering. An eruption of mental overload. Oh, we've had quite a few eruptions of that over the course of the game. What lies beyond the gate to the heart? And still makes me wonder what Senna's been through to get hers, or perhaps mental torture. There are many ways one may put it. I've already suffered through so much. He has. Even now I was still suffering. I was the laughing stock of Japan. The police thought I was a murderer. Shogun and Yuo were terrorizing me left and right. Our boy's been through some stuff. And everything with Nanami. True facts. I was once in a mental hospital. Yep, we done knew. This is a story from when I was a child. Oh, yeah? I already knew. I'd seen it online, but why is she suddenly bringing it up? I was there for just under 5 years. She got out 2 years ago, right? My mind was weakened greatly. That was why I attacked. I attacked everything around me and, at the same time, myself. Ayase's voice was a faint murmur. The girl that sat in front of me wearing pastel pajamas and tracing the creases on the sheets with her fingertip showed no signs of the strength she'd once had at the concert. The Ayase, the Fess from back then, had she even been real? Maybe it was her body double. Her literal body double that she creates on a whim. I often broke windows, I was a problem child, she said with a smile. A faint smile formed on her lips. Those shards of broken glass. I could always vaguely see it there. See what? A sword. But I knew not what it was for many years. The time I learned it to be a D-sword was around 4 years after I was admitted to the facility. Is that how she busted herself out? Also, is this going to mean that we've been seeing our D-sword the whole time during the game and we just haven't noticed? Like, are we going to have a flashback through the CGs and we're going to see the sword like a hidden object game? Has actually been present all the way through and we just weren't aware? Because that'd be badass. Before then, I always did as I pleased. But one day, every single employee in the facility was replaced all at once. Oh, wow. I was tortured in countless ways for many months. And when my heart and mind were on the verge of breaking, I heard the voice of the greater will. And from that moment, I could finally summon it. Torture? It was divine punishment. So, to be clear, the theory I was having an episode or two ago about the idea of the New Gen murders, the events there, needing to be necessary to generate a D-sword, that clearly doesn't seem to be the case. Not just from Kazuo, but from Ayase here too, because apparently she got it like 2 or 3 years ago. Obtaining the power to defeat wicked hearts requires the purification of a wicked heart itself. Okay, no more eroge. So basically, she was telling me I need to suffer more, otherwise I wouldn't ever get a D. You're going to have to throw away all your Seratan figures, man, sorry. If that was the case, then fuck that. I love my Seratan figures. I didn't want to experience any more pain. I'd already been broken down over and over again. I just wanted to be left alone. At my wit's end, I felt the urge to scream and shout. But Ayase's voice didn't allow me to. It is all a divine revelation. They should have already assembled in Shibuya. The 7 Black Knights. Who are the others, I wonder? Because Remy, I'm not sure she's our friend or not, considering her interactions with Shogun, but she does have a sword. We're probably going to get a sword. 3 other girls have swords. That leaves 2 unaccounted for. I'm guessing Yua? I mean, Yua has to be one of them because she can see Fess's sword, so that's clearly a foreshadowing. Who's going to be the 7th? I mean, Nanami seems like the obvious bet, but I don't know about that. Next is only for them to awaken. If we do not hurry, the world will be brought to ruin by the machinations of Gladiol. So why did you jump off a roof to kill yourself? Like, you're talking sense, but you're not talking sense. Oh, okay. I was going to say, are we playing as Remy now? But no. With both our shoulders drooping toward the ground, Mizumi-kun and I descended to the first floor of the hospital ward. We're still our boy. Ah, forget it. I don't care about that Kishimoto chick anymore. Up till now, I've always abided by my policy. I'll overlook anything as long as they're cute. But now, I know that was a mistake. Even I can't handle crazy bitch levels that off the charts. Like Psymin Sezz, don't stick your dick in crazy. I'll just play it safe and aim for Kazuo-chan from now on. Okay, if you're avoiding crazy chicks but want to go for Kazuo-chan, I got some bad news for you, buddy. Maybe try Senna. Not exactly sure if that made things any better. I mean, Mizumi-kun had an actual girlfriend he was dating. Also that. You amaze me, man. I can't believe you were able to listen to Kishimoto's insane BS for almost half an hour. I seriously respect that. I couldn't even last 3 minutes. And we're talking about me of all people. How? Don't ask me. Emote. Where's Remy, by the way? Barely listening to Mizumi-kun, I focused on my surroundings as I walked. I want to hear more about the bitch slap. And then I found a dazed girl standing in front of the outpatient lobby. Remy, she's still dazed? After over half an hour? Damn. I say laid into you.
From a side view, I couldn't even see a trace of her usual energy. She seemed deeply in thought as she gazed up at the lingering sunset, her hair fluttering in the chilly breeze.
Oi! Rimi!
Hey, Rimi! Rimi quickly turned after Mizumi-kun spoke, her face brimming with surprise, then gave us a big wave. Oh, finally! I found you guys! The sight of her smile filled me with relief. I instinctively ran up to her. Of course, I couldn't exactly bring myself to hug her or anything like that, so that was as far as it went. Oh, such a touching reunion. I'm glad we were able to meet again, Taku. Why would we not meet again? Where the hell did you go? I didn't know where the hospital room was. I was looking all over. I can't believe you just leave me behind like that. Rimi made a show of pretending to cry. Weren't you the one that told us to go on ahead? Oh, I did, didn't I? So, were you able to see Kishimoto-san? As I nodded, I noticed Mizumi-kun was grinning very obviously beside me. Yeah, we're not going to mention the beatdown. Never mind, we are going to mention the beatdown. Oh yeah, we did. And you got bitch slapped by Kishimoto, right? Huh? Well, what could you possibly be talking about? Rimi must have wanted to hide the fact that Ayase had slapped her. That was why I'd been avoiding the topic and leaving it at that. Read the damn room, Mizumi-kun. No, I want to find out about this. What did you say to cause that? There's no use hiding it. I saw the whole thing. Makes me feel like a gossip-hungry housekeeper or something. Huh. Guess I've been caught red-handed. Her face now pointing down at the floor, Rimi gave an awkward sigh, then gazed up at me. Did you see it too, Taku? Well, kinda, yeah. Yep, Taku and I saw the decisive moment when she let it rip right across your face. It's pretty fucking funny. Dude, you don't just say that. Delusion time. Yeah, well, darn. I must look pretty stupid for, trying so hard to hide it. Ha ha. Yeah, but what did you say? You also stalked Ayase to a certain extent when she came to the hospital. What is your interest in her? But yeah, when I went to the rooftop, I bumped into Kishimoto-san, and then just kind of asked her something that was on my mind. Are we going to find out honestly what that is? But what I said seemed to ruffle her feathers a little bit. Or is this the point where I have to choose whether I believe Rimi or don't believe Rimi? Because I'm going to tell you right now, I don't believe Rimi, but we're riding the neutral route to the end. What had she asked? Well, what was on your mind? Okay, think of a good lie. I asked her to show me her... Okay, number one, why am I doing Mizumi-kun's voice? Number two, I asked her to show me her... Oh, because of our conversation. Because Takumi specifically told Rimi that Ayase had a sword, so... Okay. I don't necessarily question that for the moment. That might not be a lie. No way. Could she really see D-swords too? No, we mentioned it. For a split second, that was my assumption, because we apparently have a terrible memory, only for it to be immediately proven wrong. So, remember how you told me about her sword before, Taku? I kind of wanted to see it too, you know? Yeah, you weren't with us when we went to her room either, so you wouldn't have seen it regardless whether you could see it or not. What? And you're telling me you got slapped for that? That makes no sense. God, I'm glad I dumped her. Kishimoto never shuts up about swords, so she should have been ecstatic. I mean, the second we stepped into the hospital room, she immediately started droning on about this gladiator BS or whatever. It freaked me out, man. Okay, so Mizumi-kun is not a Black Knight. Let's just keep going with that thought. Not that I thought he was in the first place, but he doesn't see the sword. The three of us walking shoulder to shoulder, we made our way through the outpatient lobby. I wonder if there's a reason why it was just sitting there. Why it's going to factor into who can and can't see it, or if she was just having it out ready. But again, if she just had it out ready, like, why would she just not keep it away and then summon it when she needs it, instead of walking to an entirely different area of the building without it? I mean, what if she wants her sword? The outpatient reception was already closed, meaning very few people were still there. However, the large TV screen at the end of the lobby was still surrounded by about 10 or so people. What's going on? Hopefully there's not another new gen, an 8th. I'm pretty sure there's only going to be 7, but if there's 8, then that's going to throw me right off. Maybe the newest new gen just hit. Have we heard about the 3rd one? I mean, we've heard about the 3rd one because we saw it on the internet. I don't know about Mizumi-kun. I feel like he'd be aware of that. Oh yeah, Rimi knows about it too because she was trying to distract us from it. My body stiffened at what Mizumi-kun had so casually said, but immediately after that, Rimi nonchalantly grasped my hand. Thanks to the warmth of her hand, my fear stopped there. The tension in my mind felt like it was melting away. Rimi was my sole support. Rimi gave me peace of mind. Rimi would stay by my side. I can't wait for her to stab me in the back. It might be a little too optimistic, but I felt that as long as Rimi stayed by my side, I could barely, just barely, endure any fear that might come my way. Thank God Rimi was here for me. Boy, the foreshadowing is so thick. I could cut it with a D-sword. Hey, you two, check this out! Mizumi-kun had already made his way to the TV and was urging me and Rimi over to it. Is there an 8th? All the other people there... I mean, we literally just had a 7th. Wasn't it like yesterday? All the other people there, patients both young and old, and even some nurses had gathered around the TV. Their eyes were glued to the screen. Or is this going to be the start of the end because the 7 have been done? What the hell was going on? Should we go see? The two of us moved to a place where we could see the TV, with me guided along by Rimi's hand. I then timidly turned my eyes to the screen, and when I looked at the captions on the screen, I was completely dumbfounded. New Gen culprit arrested? Well, that is interesting. It was a news report announcing the arrest of the New Gen culprit. That looks like Ban and Sua doing the arresting, No, that's not Ban's tie. And that might not be Sua's haircut. That might actually be Sua in the middle there. Because his suit is kind of in between those two colors. I don't know. It could just be from the changing of the colors just on the broadcast there, but maybe it's the guy we saw in the office. Maybe it's just some random... Maybe it's the homeless guy. I think he was wearing blue. Maybe he wasn't. I don't know. A news report announcing the arrest of the New Gen culprit. Yep, let's... Show me a face. Oh, of course you're going to cover his face. Well, that's Sua. That's Sua and not Ban, because Ban's been taken off the case, but that makes sense. I repeat, our report concerns the colloquially named New Generation Madness, a series of murder cases occurring in Shibuya. At 3:30 p.m. today, a man suspected to be behind the crucifixion case that occurred on September 29th was arrested. The suspect is 25-year-old Komaeda Shingo, who was unemployed at the time of his arrest. This guy's shoulders go right up to his forehead. Look at the weird... I don't know. That's not how anatomy works. Anyway. As per the interview conducted in the Shibuya police station earlier today, the suspect is currently only believed to be behind the murder of Ota Hisashi-san. So, Ota, again, is the crucifixion victim. We done knew that. So this is only the perpetrator of that murder. Interesting, because again, this is the one we actually saw Rimi at. How's she going to respond to this? And the police intend on pursuing charges for the other incidents as soon as the investigation into the third concludes. The suspect has confessed to the murder of Ota-san, testifying the following. Oh, they have a confession. Damn. Ota-san was stalking the woman I was with, and he refused to let up.
Eventually, I couldn't take it anymore, so I snapped and strangled him. But since he was a zombie and wasn't dying, I crucified him to stop him from moving anymore. Again, are other people being manipulated to perpetrate these murders by biorhythm waves and what have you? The rest of his testimony is littered with countless other incomprehensible claims. According to the police investigation, it was found that the suspect was not in fact with anyone at the time of the murder, and they suspect he may have been under the influence of pharmaceutical... I was in a state of sheer disbelief. The TV screen was repeatedly broadcasting a recording of the suspect being transported by car. The flashes coming from the mass media surrounding the car made the screen flicker violently. The suspect was completely covered by his jacket, so I couldn't see his face. Taku? Rimi whispered to me as I stared at the TV screen. Her hand squeezed my own. Yeah. See, Taku? You really aren't the culprit. Yeah, but you're the culprit. Rimi was the one who was at the crucifixion. Rimi's the murderer. That needs to occur to our boy. There needs to be a conversation now. That Shogun guy was just a silly little prank someone was playing on you, and definitely not someone that I am personally acquainted with and working for. And Kusunoki-san just came to the wrong conclusion. Well, that one's true. Right? With this, a neat little bow's been put on pretty much everything. You'd like that, wouldn't you? You don't need to be afraid of something lurking in the dark anymore. She was right. No, she's not. Since the culprit behind the crucifixion had been arrested, that automatically means it could have been me. I hadn't been sleepwalking, nor did I have multiple personalities. This proved that I was completely normal. No, it doesn't. And at the same time, it also disproved that I'd seen Rimi covered in blood at the scene, except we had seen Rimi covered in blood at the scene. It wasn't real. It had to have been a delusion I'd come up with. It was over. The nightmare that had been tormenting me without end for almost a month was finally over. Being afraid of shadows, being afraid of God's gaze, trying desperately to get a D-sword, which I should probably still get anyway because they're kind of cool. None of those things were necessary anymore. But even so, why? Why was there this feeling of unease deep within my chest? Shogun being a prank, and the person behind it was just stalking me for shits and giggles. It just didn't feel realistic. But maybe I was only thinking like that because I'd pretty much forgotten all normal logic and reasoning over the last month. Uh-oh. My phone vibrated in my pocket. Well, this should be interesting. It was on vibrate, but phones still weren't allowed in the hospital. So I should probably walk outside. Yua? Maybe? Or maybe it's Shogun. I let go of Rimi, exited through the front entrance, then pulled out my phone.
Hi.
Why are you not checking the call display, you crazy person? You May Pass is going to play again, and it's not going to be good. Never mind. Okay, that could be a Nanami, it could be a Yua. Yeah, I braced myself. You May Pass might have started playing again. Check your call display, you dumb bastard. I quickly went to check the name of the caller. Now you check. But it was a restricted number. I was hit with a really bad feeling, but when I frantically went to hang up... Oh, it is Nanami. Well, yeah, just because it didn't happen right away doesn't mean it wasn't going to happen. Big bro, I lost my hand. Have you seen it anywhere? The horribly pained voice that had come through the phone was unmistakably Nanami's. I wasn't sure. I was thinking Nanami or Yua, but here we are. Nanami? Give me back my right hand. Oh, so my joke was not... Haha, guys. Funny joke. Huh. Okay, just gonna leave it at that. Right, alright, game. I see how it is. Are we Bond now? Are we buying ourselves a new Froggy? The shop specializing in Garo Froggy merchandise was known as Top Frog. Are we going to find out that this is some sort of front for distributing devices that raise the GE rate?
Give me back my right hand, motherfucker. Well, I can't wait to catch up with Takumi in the next scene and find out what he thinks of that. Sorry, I must have thrown it out, Nanami. We'll get you a hook or something. That pun was likely an attempt to leave a good impression on its customer base, but Bon could only sigh at what he felt was akin to a dad joke. Okay, so we are Bon. At present, Top Frog had about 20 branches established around the capital region, and it was showing no signs of slowing down its expansion. Bon was currently visiting the very first branch situated in Harajuku, a place often cited as paradise by the biggest Garo Froggy fans. We're going to buy this thing, cut it open, and see what makes it tick. Bon, however, quickly came to regret this decision. Oh, boy. Yua-chan? Mind if we take off? I thought I was going to ask Yua-chan if he could cut in front of her. You came here with Yua? He spoke in a low voice to Yua, the girl that had guided him to the shop. Huh? But didn't Momose-san ask you to buy a Garo Froggy for her? Right, but come on now. A guy my age is just completely out of place here. Scores of young people happily trotted along Takashita Dori, but the vast majority passed by without even so much as glancing at the shop. God, look at them all. So what is this new arrival? They have a new style every week. This one just looks like the googly eye one. Only a few people were standing inside the actual store. In fact, aside from Bon and Yua, there were only 3 customers in total, all of which were high school girls. Due to Bon's unkempt appearance, walking along Takashita Dori with Yua inevitably served to portray him as a man of obscene intentions. He was just going to buy one of the plushies that was so popular nowadays, but that was what any stereotypical old pervert would say, a notion that brought down Bon's spirits considerably. Yua, can you just go in here and buy a couple for everyone? I'll give you the money. On top of that, I don't know. I just can't shake the feeling that someone's watching me. Could be that I'm just a little too focused on myself for my age, though. Oh, me too, actually. Recently, I've been feeling someone's gaze on me. And every now and then, when it happens, I feel very, very afraid. Oh, so it's not just me. Oh, well, it doesn't bother me. That might be something to worry about in your case, Yua-chan. If someone happened to be stalking you. That can't be it. Please don't suggest something so frightening. Don't worry. Anyone who tries will find themselves in handcuffs before they can say, hey. Resolving the topic with a grin, Bon stared fixedly at the various frog characters lining up along the shelves. I'm curious, how many times have you been to this place, Yua-chan? This is actually my first time here. Doesn't look like there's many customers around. Is this the calm before the storm or something? Well, I've heard that it gets really crowded from Friday to Sunday. Oh, we're not here on a Friday. Oh, and that's because a new type gets released every weekend. I hear Friday in particular has a very long line. I guess we don't actually need to be here for the latest and greatest. We just want to see what a Garo Froggy is and maybe find out what's going on inside of it. They open up at around 6 p.m. to give students a chance to get one, but, and this is just a rumor, the line for this shop alone covers the entirety of Takashita Dori. That is pretty damn big. Just the weekends, eh? This is growing more suspicious by the second. Bon went to pick up 2 of the teary Garo Froggies that had released last week, then headed to the register. We haven't seen the teary ones yet. Yan, not buying anything herself, followed behind him. Welcome, my dude! We'll pretend it's Mizumi on his part-time job. The store employee was a vacus-looking man in his 20s. His hair had been dyed green, never mind, and he had earrings in. If he were not behind the register, he certainly would not look like a clerk to the passing observer. At the very least, it was no outfit to be serving customers in. The employee stared at the 2 without relent nor restraint. Present for your daughter?
そうなんだよね。
Yep, you got it.
この子がどう
My baby girl wouldn't stop twisting my arm, so now we're here.
まあ、たまには
But I suppose you just gotta suck it up and act like a dad every once in a while. Ha ha ha. You, what's your response to this? Bond forced a smile as he looked ingratiatingly at the young shop clerk. Excuse me? Yeah. Yua's gaze fell to the floor as her face turned to utter shock. Nonetheless, she did not break the father and daughter charade.
それより
That aside, these froggies have got me real curious. Mind telling me a thing or two about them? First of all, are these gecko froggies really that popular? Dude, they're gero froggies. I mean, they're like turbo bonkers popular. It's crazy, man. Oh, Gepu froggies, are they? I heard that a new product comes out every weekend. Is that true? I said gero froggies, dude. Righteous. And, like, my man, don't call them products, all stuffy like that. They're avant-gero buddies, bro. We light them up Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and they sell like turbo bonkers fast. It's seriously crazy, man. They seriously sell like turbo bonkers fast, man. Turbo bonkers fast is like this guy's only line, and I'm stealing it. And I really mean turbo bonkers, dude. Righteous. Yua's brow narrowed in response to the young man. This sounds like an act, doesn't it? Bonkers seems to be a favorite word of the shop clerk, and something felt odd to her about it. Why is he emphasizing part of it so much, she wondered. It likely was not intentional, but it almost felt as if the young clerk was saying Bond's name in some capacity. Bonkers? This label says made in China and something or other, but do you know who the actual manufacturer is? Was that? The manufacturer? Come on, dude. Don't act like Gero Froggy is some kind of brand. Gero Froggies are free creatures, man. You gotta get with the program. This guy is so punchable, and I haven't even seen him. Seriously, that's turbo uncool. Let me tell you this. Gero Froggies, they ain't made. They're born. And it's bonkers. Yeah, I feel like you're not going to be getting any useful information out of this guy, sorry to say. Unsurprisingly, the conversation was getting to be too much for Bond, leaving him on the verge of rupture. In order to prevent this, he swiftly ended the conversation, handed over the money, and then left the store with Yua in tow. Sheesh, do they even train shop clerks in this day and age? Youngsters these days can't hold a decent conversation to save their lives. And what was with that getup? Looks like the circus came to town. Indeed. Oh, yes? Yua came to an abrupt halt. She grabbed Bon's suit cuff and pulled him to a stop as well. Look at that, Bon-san. What is it? Yua was pointing in the direction of a white 2-ton truck. It was pulled over on the side of the road, and a number of cardboard boxes were being unloaded from the cargo bed. The boxes were carried, one after the other, into the back of the Gero Froggy shop. Well, would you look at that? Those must be the new Gero Frogipedes coming out tomorrow. It's Gero Frog... I never would have noticed that. Nice catch, Yua-chan. No, it was just happenstance. Usually the cargo bed of a truck would have a company name or logo emblazoned on it somewhere, but the one before Bon and Yua was completely blank. Yeah, very sus. However, the cardboard boxes being carried inside had something resembling a company name written, besides a few Gero Froggy illustrations. Please don't tell me that you were stupid enough to put the word Nozumi on the side of your cardboard boxes. Faithworks Limited. Ever heard of them? Okay, I don't think that name has come up, but it could be one of those. We're going to go back to Mozumi, and she's going to say, oh yeah, that's one of those just empty shadow companies that are owned by that political group or whatever. No, I can't say I have. In that case, we ought to pay Momo-chan a little visit. Yeah, I have a feeling she's going to know that name. Alright, back to Takumi, who's having a very bad day. I think we'll go for a little bit longer. We parted ways with Mizumi-kun at the station, then headed straight back to my base. They said we, so Remy must be with us. The whole way there, it felt like I was stumbling my way through a nightmare. Yeah, no kidding. Nanami's face kept popping into my mind, and each time it did, her expression was different. Never good. Nanami had always been the type to wear her heart on her sleeve. When she was angry, she'd puff out her cheeks and pout, and when she was happy, she'd smile so wide it'd make me even me embarrassed. Memories of all those different expressions made my heart thump again and again, almost painfully so. That phone call from before, the things she said, what the hell had they meant? They could only mean that the bandage wrapped around her arm when I'd seen her at school must have been. Where could she be now? At school? Or maybe she'd already gone back home. She should be home by now. Phone the parents? Come on, Taku. You gotta look where you're going. I don't want you to trip. Supported by Remy, the two of us came out on the roof. Senna is still here? What is it? I was thinking of heading back to my parents' house now, actually. Yeah, exactly. Now? That's kind of sudden. It shouldn't take more than half an hour to get there on foot. And, I want you to come with me. Yeah, I don't think you'd be able to handle doing this on your own, considering you can't even talk to Nanami while she's standing in front of you at school. As I made that request, I was so nervous my heart felt like it would burst out of my chest. I was even somewhat surprised that those words had managed to come out of my mouth at all. Asking someone for something. It was something I'd never been able to do before now. You don't mean... Remy fell deep in thought, her expression looking troubled about something. Yeah, again, Remy may potentially be connected to this, if only indirectly. So what's she thinking about? Is this like the build-up to you introducing me to your parents? Not quite. Not quite. Also, I wonder, it would be funny if Senna and Kazupi were still in the crate, and we caught them, and we leave without catching them, and then they're like, phew, and they get to leave, but Kazupi is in there like, red alert, you don't want to know what Remy's thinking right now, holy shit. I couldn't help but gaze at the ridiculous statement Remy had just blurted out. So, I don't really think I'm ready for that. No, that's not what I mean. What in the... Or... Senna's just been camping here waiting for me because she's really mad about what she found and wants to murder my ass. Suddenly, a high-pitched sound pierced my ears. I mean, I can't imagine what that noise could possibly be. But it could very well be a real booting. One that sounded almost like a woman's scream. Have we described a sword being drawn with those words before? Because I feel like we have. Yeah. Remy. Duck. Or, never mind. A strong gust of wind swept over the rooftop. The air trembled. God, we're being attacked by the wizards. My vision was overwhelmed by a blinding sheet of deep crimson. With no idea what had just happened, I turned my face to the light. Didn't Senna actually... Yeah, because Senna had this effect on the rucksack guy too, didn't she? Because we saw that red intent of hers there. And when I looked on top of the container house, there she stood. Is Kazupi with her? Yep. Senna is here and she's pissed. Like, even more so than usual. Aoi Senna, D-sword in hand. It actually looks smaller than usual. The source of the light was her D-sword, glimmering against the sky, but something was strange. When I'd seen it before, Senna's D-sword had emitted a blue glow. The sound vanished, the wind stopped. Do I have your attention, sir? I need an answer. Now. Yep. Her blunt as always. Her voice was sharp, her glare cold, her eyes glistening with unmistakable animosity. Were you the bastard who wrote this? I need you to real boot that shit so Remy can see it. As she spoke, she thrust out a piece of paper with LR2 scribbled on it. My essay. For some reason, it was all scrunched up. Why did Senna have that? Why was Senna here? Illegal trespassing. I don't think she cares, my guy. Those words popped into my head, immediately followed by the realization that she had searched my room. But what for? I said I need an answer. I did. Why do you want to know? And of course, Kazupi's here. Takumi-san! Next came the sound of Kazupi's inner voice. She was behind Senna. She was clinging to Senna's legs and her face was peeking out from behind them. She had an urgent look on her face as she looked at me. Run away! She knows Flash Step. We're not running anywhere. Right as Kazupi screamed, Senna leaped from the roof. She held the sword high and... Can you see it? Look out! Remy yanked my arm and I fell backward. I quickly looked back up, then saw the place I had been standing only moments prior. Give me some cool CGs. Senna's sword had hollowed out the floor of the rooftop. It had such insane destructive power, such tremendous sharpness, that it didn't feel real. The impact had been great enough to destroy the concrete, and yet the sword didn't even have a scratch on it. Weren't D-swords supposed to be things people couldn't see, let alone touch? Well, they can be input in certain states. A certain term crossed my mind. Real booting? Yep, real boot. Her sword had been real booted, which is why Remy can probably see it. Through the mutual recognition of the four people here, Senna's D-sword had gone from her delusion to reality. It was now a great sword that could cut down a person for real. Is that how that works? I need an explanation on the standards for the mutual recognition. If Remy hadn't pulled me away in time, I would have been bisected from head to toe by that beautiful sword of hers. It would have been instant death. Also, Kazupi was swinging her sword around like crazy in the middle of a crowd and didn't do shit. So, yeah, just playing fast and loose with the rules here. Shivers ran down my entire body. Just now Senna had unmistakably tried to kill me. Why? My head was overrun with confusion. The two of us had been eating crunchy coons together just the other day. Kazupi had been there with us. It was true that our relationship wasn't far enough for me to call us friends, and that even back then Senna had been acting scary the whole time. But even so, she shouldn't have hated me enough to suddenly come after me with a D-sword. Kazupi, you gonna defend me here or something? I'll kill you. Senna raised her head. She glared at me even more intensely than before. Her movements were incredibly fast, in spite of the fact that she was holding a gigantic sword. She kicked off the ground like she was starting a 500-meter dash. We could use a chance to explain ourselves. The tip of her sword scraped against the ground as she brandished it. Closing the distance between us, she raised the weapon above her head. In that instant, my instincts worked out exactly what kind of situation I was in. Oh, are your instincts just figuring this out now? Man, you got some amazing instincts there, my guy. She was serious. Senna was deadly serious. Yep, scream all you want as I lay face up in a total heap. Either Kazupi is going to have to jump in, or maybe Remy's going to have to reveal that she has a sword too, because maybe she wants us to die. I don't know. I mean, she did just pull us back just now. I let out a shriek. I couldn't run away. None of this made any sense. Getting a game over like this. Now, we got the bad ending earlier. We're fine. Desperately running away from Shogun, yet getting surprise attacked by Senna as a result of it. It was far too ridiculous. Far too sudden. I didn't want this. I didn't want to die. I really didn't want to die. Yeah, Remy, what are you going to do? Right then, a single silhouette leapt above me and landed between me and Senna. Is it going to be Kazupi? Oh! No. When I looked to see who it was, I realized it was Remy. She'd stretched her arms out wide to bar the way of the approaching girl. Was she putting her life on the line just to shield me? Move. But if she did that, she was going to die. I didn't want that. Nishija-kun's got to be careful around Sakihata-san. Is this a flashback or is she telling us again? Suddenly, What Cosby had said before reappeared in my mind. Okay, so it is remembering. Pale light leaked past Rimi's outstretched arms.
先畑さんは
Nishitaku doesn't really know Sakahara-san. Rimi, is she going to pull out a sword?
タクに手を出さない
Don't you
で
dare lay a finger on Taku. Unifying the overflowing light, she placed her arms together. Yeah, this is the animation we saw in the CG when she summoned her sword. So here comes Rimi's. The air warped and shook. Coming seemingly from thin air, feathers of shining light burst around Rimi and danced in the surrounding air. And then what appeared in her hands... Well, there we go. She was hiding it. What the hell? Effortlessly blocking the fierce downward swing of Senna's gigantic sword. And don't you dare torment him like this. Yep. It was all too graceful to be called a sword. All too imperial. Easy enough to easily be mistaken for the wings of an angel. It does look like that. Can we back up a bit? Then I realized a certain fact. That she, Sakahara Rimi, was a gigalomaniac. Yeah, she's holding it in the folded up form, it looks like. So they're not spread like the wings. They're a sword and not like a dual-edged sword. Well, that's been revealed. Whoa! Okay, dual wielding. That's a cool-ass CG. I was going to end the episode on a cliffhanger, but now we get to see that? Ah, that's badass. Hang on a second. Let's go a little longer here. What the hell? Overwhelmed with shock, Aoi Senna looked at the face of the girl that stood before her. So how do these work? That winged sword that had so effortlessly blocked the attack of her D-sword was clearly a D-sword itself. If the girl she now faced was not accustomed to wielding a D-sword, she would not have been able to block Senna's attack with such perfect timing. Wowie zowie! I'm trying to figure out how that one in her left hand is situated. It's weird. Anyway.
先畑さんも
Sakahara-san was also a gigalomaniac. Wow! So, you got even more splaining to do, honey. Kazue stared down at the three people from atop the container house, as if she were a spectator. Her dangling legs swung back and forth again and again. She's just entertained now. Sure acting carefree for someone who ruined my surprise attack, thought Senna, clicking her tongue inside her head. Did we hear that? However, despite her moving thoughts, she did not remove her gaze from Rimi's eyes. Her opponent had a brooding look on her face. Hell, what the hell? Nishidu Takumi moaned from behind Rimi, having sunk to the ground in a pathetic display. Wait a minute, are we Senna now? Is that the reason we heard Senna's voice? We pro-tag swapped to Senna in the middle of this? Senna's target was ultimately him, so she had no intention of fighting with Rimi. Besides, this was no manga, nor was it an anime, it's a visual novel, so a D-sword battle was not a particularly realistic thing to occur.
その男が何をしたか知って
Do
いる
you know what exactly he did?
IR2 という公式を
The IR2 formula.
知ってるよ
I'm fully aware. Senna had been interrupted by a quiet, sorrowful, yet decisive response. Upon hearing that, Senna tightened the grip on her D-sword.
それなら
Fine then, I'll...
タクを覚醒させれば
If you force Taku to awaken,
もっと
this will end in an even bigger disaster.
その前に殺す
Then I'll kill him before that.
あなたには
Even if you
無
try,
理だよ
you will never be able to. Senna decided that there was no point in talking further. She brandished her sword in a lie stance, whatever. Boy, Taku's really gonna have some questions here. Rimi clearly, I mean, she's laying her cards on the table here. She's certainly proving that she knows things. And now the question is going to be, why? Before her, Remy stood readily. Nishiju Takumi lay about 5 long strides away from her. At this distance, it would take 3 seconds to resolve things completely. If she wasn't in the way. Without hesitation, Senna rushed toward Remy from the front. Boy, Senna just has no subtlety. Aiming straight for the girl, she swept her D-sword toward her flank. Remy attempted to block it like before. But, yeah, Senna's got some skill. Senna's strike had been a feint, as I thought. Her sword passed through both Remy's sword and body. Clever girl, she had released the real boot. At present, Senna's D-sword was no more than a delusion. It could touch nothing, it could cut nothing, it could kill nothing, but in a second it will. But that had been her very aim. Due to having twisted her body to block the attack, Remy's reactions would be slowed. During that time frame, Senna had already slipped past her and made it 2 steps closer to Takumi. Well, we're screwed. Yep, she real booted the sword once again in an instant. This is it. Takumi faced Senna with eyes of fear. She effortlessly rebooted the sword. With her D-sword that had once again become real, she moved to pierce Takumi's heart. Kazupi, help me?
Senna.
Whoa, fuck. Okay, is there someone else here, or did Shogun decide to say hi? Senna. Or is this someone she clearly knows? Uh-oh. A figure flew past the corner of her vision. The instant she heard its voice, the girl, fiercely shaken by it, missed her target. Who is this? The tip of the sword grazed Takumi's leg and stabbed into the concrete. Senna slowly raised her head. You. Is it the Hakui, whatever his name is guy, the H-name guy, then let out an angry growl. At the edge of the roof, their form lit by the backdrop of the setting sun, stood a single man like a phantom among the corporeal. Oh, it's him! Kazupi was the one who told us about this guy. So is this going to be the guy that Senna was looking for? His face was pale, deathly so. The pupils that resided within his sunken eyes were surrounded by bloodshot whites. His head hung toward the concrete, his face without expression. The instant Senna saw the man, neither Takumi nor anything else mattered to her anymore. The man Senna had chased after without end, her sole object of hatred. The man that had abandoned her and betrayed his entire family. Is this her dad? That very man now stood right before her very eyes. And he's the guy with the H name? What was it again? I finally found you. Senna took a step toward the man, gritting her teeth to hold back her overflowing hatred. She once again brandished her D-sword. Is this going to be our 7th D-sword wielder? Because we still need a 7th. Another step forward. There was nothing I could have done. I had no choice but to offer your mother as a sacrifice. What? Shut up! As she met her end, your mother could not have looked more at peace. For this reason, Senna, I want you to be at ease. Is he telling us about an event that we had heard of from another angle at some point? Because this sounds familiar. From your mother's sacrifice, we obtained amazing results from the experiment. She gave her life for the sake of her world, and in the process she was of great use to us all. You should be proud of your mother for her meritorious act of service, just as I am. Shut your goddamn mouth! Say his name again so I can remember it. Blood rushed to Senna's head, rendering her no longer able to see anything other than the man that stood before her. She dashed. Thanks for taking the aggro off me. It happened in an instant. He's got a sword too. Everyone's got a sword but me! She flew at the man's breast, closed the distance between herself and it, then sunk her D-sword deep in its center. Okay, fair enough. Also, I believe when this guy was talking to Kazubi, he specifically said he did not have a sword. So, never mind, he's fucked. Takumi is just like, what is going on here? That was Senna's long-held desire. She had roamed Shibuya daily for the sole purpose of killing this man. She had dreamt of the day she would kill him countless times. It had never left her mind. Are we back to Takumi? Nope. After all this time, I've avenged you, Mom. She went to remove her sword, which would grant her the opportunity to move away from the man, but... Oh, never mind. But before her sword could come free, the man wrapped his arms around Senna and gently embraced her. Well... You're gonna get some serious blood on you. Stop it! Don't you dare touch me like we're family! Her entire body stood on end. Him doing this now, after everything that had happened, only served to nauseate her. Long ago, in the distant past, the bond of family between Senna and the man had been severed. Even so, for some reason she was unable to comprehend, Senna could not bring herself to throw off the man, an inability that deeply surprised her. His warmth, his large chest, the deeply real presence of her father. Her hands dyed in red. This is... the delusion you wished for. Uh-oh. 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 When she heard that whisper, Senna immediately understood. Errors slipped into dead spots. Psychological attacks. Oh, damn. Uh-oh. Oh, crap. Enchantment. Wizards seeing someone's delusions. When Senna realized her mistake, it was already too late. She lost her balance, and together with the man, her body was cast off the roof. Well, that is very unfortunate. To Senna, the ground that lay 8 stories below looked oh so far away. Well, unable to comprehend what the hell was going on, all I could do was end the episode, because this is just what is happening. Things be kicking off, yo. Remy sword, Senna dad, Senna falling. Senna's like, I need a flower bed really, really quickly. Yeah. Well then, what is going on? I got nothing. I got nothing. I got nothing. I don't know what to tell you. I got nothing. You want to find out what's going on? You're going to have to watch next time. I say it every episode, but it keeps being true, and you enjoy it because you're still here, so don't lie to yourself. Don't delusion yourself. Come back for the next episode and find out what the hell happens, and I'll see you then. Ta-ta!